On this episode of the Esports Meta.
That happens. I say bad things about every game. I'm grumpy and bitter.
Nick, I think that kind of wraps up my thoughts on multiverses. How about you?
I'm already on the next topic.
I think you violated the terms of service and you kind of said bad things about my game, so I had to kick you out. Hello, welcome to the Esports Meta, your place for video game news and competition. I'm your host, Billy Sims, here with a very exciting week. It's a pretty dense episode, a lot to talk about. Blizzard announces Overwatch 3, essentially, with loot boxes and more. Multiverses is saying goodbye, and then it fixes the game. I don't know how that makes sense, but please, maybe you can. We're going to do our best a little bit later to try to figure out why that makes sense. And then Doublelift is back. But there's a catch and a caveat. We'll go over those details and more in just a second. And to do that, I'm going to need to bring in some people to talk with. But first and foremost, thanks for joining us. Happy to have you. We're the Esports Meta. Nice to meet you. Thanks for watching. You can check us out on all our social medias at the Esports Meta, everywhere that you consume social media. Come give us your take. Say we have bad takes, all the internet things, you know, the normal stuff you find on the internet. And hopefully we could talk about some video games. But right now we're going to talk with Nick about some video games. And if I can remember words and phrases and sayings, I'll do that. So Nick, how you doing? Welcome to another week of the podcast.
Yeah, it's great to be here, dude. You're finally excited to do a podcast because Overwatch is finally making moves. You're like the happiest kid ever. You're like, my game isn't dead. Yes. Yes.
Honestly, there's definitely a little piece of that. That's for sure. But this felt like a week where there was actually a lot of stuff happening. We're not just reciting scores or talking about how this shitty game had a shitty battle pass. So like, you know, there's been moments here and there, but this one felt like a pretty solid one.
Yeah. Just remember, all good games have battle passes.
It's true, dude. It's absolutely true. It's just how much are they trying to take your money with you or against you, right?
Exactly.
So Nick, it's been a week of video games, of course. What have you been up to? What have you been playing? Anything good?
Not really. No, I've been playing a little bit more games this week than last week. Last week I was last couple of weeks I've been pretty stuck on VALORANT, right? This week I played more League. Like obviously I'm watching League still, playing more Magic this week. Basically, like, you know, and some Marvel Rivals here and there, but like nothing too crazy. It's like I literally do like 5 games maybe a week. It's like a fun thing for me every now and then. Look at me eat my words, bro.
Yeah, you should have saw us 6 months ago, a year ago, talking about that game and all the other arena shooters that were coming out that were going to change the world. This one actually did pretty well. And like, we have one game that we talked about last year that's on the docket for the agenda for the conversation today that's already saying goodbye, less than a year. So props where props is due for more Marvel Rivals. I've been kind of on the Pokemon Pocket train a lot. The meta's been developing pretty well. I've enjoyed the simple, kind of complex, simple nature of it and the development there. Pokemon Day is coming up, so I'm excited for that. I got to watch some League of Legends this past weekend. LTA North for South games. I got to see 1 or 2 of them. You know, I'm not really always a fan of those productions in the game, but I did enjoy watching it this weekend. And truth be told, partly because Overwatch was just 3-0s and I was definitely bored. But it's been a pretty good week of video games. I've been relaxing, enjoying, and playing some games, a little bit of Marvel Rivals like yourself.
Yeah, no, so, you know, it's a good thing, right? Take a little time, you know, let loose on the video games, come home like a warrior, drop the kids off, destroy somebody, you know, it's great.
We're all just trying to live our dream like the Wazzler, right? Come home, play some Marvel vs. Capcom, and stomp some noobs on all different consoles.
I'm not doing too bad. I told you before the thing, but I don't need any Reddit detectives out here finding my shit. But like, I'm 85% win rate. Like just this week, I'm having a good week. It's nice.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. You were telling me beforehand. That's pretty solid for the season, dude. That's better than solid. That's awesome.
Yeah, I won't even say. I'm not even playing. I play the same character almost all the time. It's not.
But to our
It's all
point
good.
here too, like, you know, the baseline is games are supposed to be fun. So if you're not having fun, stop playing them. Right? If you don't want to spend the money, don't spend the money. Spend the money. You're not having fun, don't play.
Don't spell it, people.
Don't spell that money. All right. I think that's a good point for us to move on from this witty banter into our first topic. And this was a kind of a one that surprised me. I think I had sent this, or you had sent this to me almost at the same time. We both saw it. But long story short, we got this across our plates today, and that Team Liquid is officially signing Magnus Carlsen to form a chess esports super team. This was coming from Esports Illustrated, the article that I could find about it. I think it was the same one that you sent me too. Like, this just feels like something big, essentially.
Chess in general is like pretty popular over on I don't know if I just said Twitch. I messed up. Let me re-speak. Chess in general has been doing really, really well on Twitch. It's been pretty fun. Certain people that are like watched a lot. Hikaru is a big one, right? The Botez sisters are pretty big. They all have like good content. They're all good content creators. It's like I even find myself watching chess every now and then. It's probably like once a week. And then that one dude with glasses, I can never remember his name. My God. But anyway. Yeah. No, this is awesome. I'm wondering who's going to get the Botez sisters and Hikaru. Like,
yeah, how deep is this signing going to go? I mean, is Magnus going to just like be the ego and need to like be center stage top bill, or is he going to like actually pick some like chess players that rival him? I know he's an excellent, one of the best, if not the best chess player, but it's also great to see how encompassing chess has become. When we were talking about doing this story or not, it kind of surprised me, but then didn't, because you have events like Ludwig does chess boxing, and then there's other things where the NFL started doing an NFL chess event. There's defensive and offensive players that literally play in tournaments. They're hiring these streamers and these professionals to coach them. So like, chess being an esport absolutely makes sense. Chess now getting signed to an organization like Team Liquid absolutely makes sense. Like, why didn't this happen sooner? It'd be cool to see how Team Liquid approaches this. But Nick, it sounds like you remember who the person was.
Yeah, I did. It's Gotham Chess. That's exactly like I was waiting for that. Gotham Chess is awesome. He makes he makes like he makes pretty engaging content for me as like an outside the box slightly chess enthusiast. Like, it's pretty crazy to me, because like, I'm not even joking, me and my boy Ewok, right? When we were in high school, we both the reason how I got into Magic, I'm not even joking with you, like how I got into Magic was me and Ewok were pretty big into chess when we were kids, right? Get into high school, we're like, all right, let's join the chess club real quick, need some extracurriculars anyway, go to the chess club. Guess what happens? We do end up winning a bunch of games, right? We're like, this is the pits. Let's get out of here. Like, after we won like 4 games in a row, and it's not to brag. Like, I don't know how good anybody was. Like, we weren't shit. I'm just saying, like, we didn't lose. So we get up, we leave, we walk around the school, and literally I see like one of my English teachers just playing Magic with a bunch of kids. It's like an after school program. Mr. Grabowski, the dopest of dope. And he taught me how to play Magic. And it was all because I left a chess thing. And like, look at that. Like, and then I'm like, esports, playing video games. And like, look, esports, chess. It's a pretty full circle craziness.
It is. I gotta say though that English teacher kind of was like that initial drug dealer getting you attached to that expensive cardboard.
I think, dude, there's nothing like I would call it like poetic justice for like an English teacher getting kids into Magic is like actually the closest thing to getting a kid onto drugs for English. It's the weird, like, oh yeah, read that card, explains the card. Yeah, you see that Oxford comma? Let's fucking go.
Actually, that's really important, dude. I would say the second important thing was this past year with the start of the Kendrick Drake beef, where like you got high school kids basically deciphering poetry essentially, and like critically thinking and dissecting the lyrics of these songs, like for like the meanings and the double entendres and the grammatical stuff. Definitely got to be crack for those high school English teachers.
Yeah, no, this is all English is great, isn't it?
Well, I guess chess goes hand in hand with English, of course. I know I've seen a bunch of different chess content creators, usually through YouTube. I love the sisters going to like places like New York City, etc., and then just like going to the haunts that like, you know, those dudes who like to hustle people. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the hustle videos.
Yeah. I love that series. It's so much fun to watch and see who like the actual savants. Like these girls are good and they beat most of the people, but like every so often you've just got that one hustler who like might have been a grand champion at one point actually, and like knows what they're doing and kind of can go toe for toe, blow for blow.
It's true. Catch more Gotham chess on my Doom scrolls. I'll be completely honest. That's like I couldn't believe I can't remember his name. Like it's so stupid. But like all of his are pretty informative. They're like if you don't know anything about chess, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, you know, I know a little something about chess. Look at this. I can do a podcast and do something about chess. I know Gotham chess. Let's go. You'd be like me. Just kidding.
Well, I do know one thing, and earlier this year, and the article does mention this, that the Esports World Cup actually announced chess as being one of the events, one of the games it will be fielding this year in Riyadh, and as part of the 2025 roster. Genji and LGD Gaming, LGD, a little bit of a tongue twist, it just rolls off the tongue. LGD Gaming were also making teams, signing up some top players, but I think Magnus was especially one to like make note of because he's the one who also had the notoriety a couple years ago with the controversy, right? Like the other person was cheating with the allegedly illegal device smuggled, and then there was the refusal to play, and then the development of the games over a couple days, couple weeks, and the investigation. So like Magnus isn't just a big personality. He's not just a big ranking person in the community, but then he's a part of it. He's part of some controversy sometimes. So like this feels
of course
huge.
He is, bro. I want to know what the EWC rules are for like for clothing for chess. Is he gonna get disqualified for wearing jeans again? Like I doubt it in the EWC. And if you don't know what that is, that was legitimately a thing where like he needed to change his pants. And he's just, I'll do it like, you know, tomorrow when I come back. And they're like, no, you're gonna do it now. You know, and then he left.
He's that kind of dude. Like it's a little bit of like a rock star mentality for sure. And I've seen clips of him show up to his match like extremely late, and then they start running his clock at a point when it's his turn, and like he'll have like 2 to 5 minutes left of his timer and still beat the person kind of match. And this might be early rounds kind of thing, so it might not be nothing to him, but he's that kind of dude with that kind of attitude where he's not going on stage like until an hour after the show starts.
Either way, all we know is that this EWC is going to be crazy. It's going to be absolutely crazy. If you didn't notice at the bottom, I caught it while you were scrolling through the page. Hikaru is on Team Falcons.
Hikaru he got picked up for chess?
Yeah. Yeah, like he's a grandmaster. He's even got a special move.
What's that?
It's like, I can't remember. It's something bong or some shit.
I was really hoping it's going to be like an anime move, like a My Hero stuff, like Detroit Smash, blah, like, you know, Rook into King, Detroit Smash.
He's used it. Like, I don't know if it's like a thing, like basically like the quote that I heard from like him and Gotham Chess, and maybe even Magnus said this at one point, is that like literally playing by the book is like not the way to play chess at the highest level, because you kind of like, you need to think outside of the box and do some weird stuff. And sometimes, you know, the weird stuff ends up, dude, I can't remember the stupid name. But anyway.
Yeah, take a minute to brew on that, because like I think to that point, you know, essentially you're talking about the meta. And of course, the chess players are going to be aware of a meta, like a tendency of a player, etc., all the way into like the bigger. And that's one of the things I really love about the story of chess overall. Like, what is it? Deep Blue? Was it IBM Deep Blue played chess 10 10 years ago, etc., and was starting to do moves that nobody would do because they thought it was faux pas. It's like bad etiquette / not going to win you the games. But like the AI was like saying, hey, this is going to be the best probability and chance to win. So like it did it and it won. And then going as far back as the 1800s is like you've had like unsportsmanlike rules, which weren't official rules, where it's like you can't move that way because that's ungentlemanlike. So we don't do that. So like, it's interesting to me because it just connects that idea of sentiment to the meta as well as actual like actions of patterns and stuff in the meta, not just the moves, the strategy of like the name strategy of like this is the King's Gambit, etc. Right. But speaking of moves, it looks like you've figured out or remembered what that special move was.
No, I was able to just like look it up. It was a stupid name. It's called the Bomb Cloud. It's absolutely hysterical.
That's definitely not a name you usually associate in chess, but I wonder what it entails specifically.
The Bomb Cloud opening move, it essentially just leaves your king open. Like it does some other stuff too, right? But like it doesn't, your king doesn't castle, your kings just end up left out in the open. It's just it's a ridiculous play.
Okay, and it's an opening move too, so that makes it a little bit more iconic. You don't need a specific scenario for it to happen because it's literally the beginning of the game. It happens every single time.
Yeah, it just starts off with the Bomb Cloud.
Just rip it, man.
But like, I don't know if he does it anymore or anything like that. Like, I don't watch him like that. I just remembered he had like a special move. Like, he's the only. I hope that they make a video game with chess, like chess.com. Get at it.
Right. That'd be so cool. Just have like WWE entrances and theme music, and then have like specific special moves. But we're talking future stuff, far future stuff. Direct future Esports World Cup 2025 is going to be covering chess. We'll be keeping our eyes on this, definitely covering it when Riyadh kicks off later this summer. Looking forward to the rest of this. Nick, any sort of takeaways before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, there was one thing that like is talking about Magnus Carlsen is that there is a person on like the leaderboards. And this is something that I was exposed to from Gotham Chess, is that there's literally a person called Sinister Magnus who like is like one of the highest rated people on chess.com. And it's speculated that it's Magnus's like secondary account. No one can confirm that it's him. So it could just be some rogue random person or some other pro who just like took his name and said Sinister Magnus, or this is where he does like his real weird practice or something like that. I don't know. But
and at that point too, your alt account, if you're going to keep your alt account hidden, you probably shouldn't name it Magnus, but it's way funnier if it's somebody else just like evil twinning them. Like that's real good.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Gotta appreciate that. Got to appreciate that for sure. And like, that's one of the narratives that chess will give you. It is a very headstrong game. It's a very confidence-based game. And you really do need to know your stuff to get that far. So we're looking forward to what they can bring to conservative esports, your Halos and Call of Duty kind of organization, and then flip it, see what like Team Liquid, Genji, etc. can bring to competitive chess in this esport age, this digital age of chess.com and etc. Those power rankings and sponsorships possibly. But we've got more to talk about here, and we're going to move along into League of Legends. The cross-conference LTA games happened this past weekend, and oh boy, they were something. I got to watch a few of them, and I did enjoy my time there, but this was definitely a lot of what you probably would expect. I'm going to scroll in a little bit and get us situated so we can... Actually, that should be more than fine. But let's run down the scores here for League of Legends LTA Cross Conference. North versus South in this matchup, seeing what was going on. Our first game was 100 Thieves versus Pain Gaming, and this was a easy 2-0, something I did get to look at. The crowds were hyped. They were absolutely against 100 Thieves, but they did not care. They just ran Pain Gaming out the room. Then FlyQuest went against Leviathan Esports on also a 2-0 score line. Pretty dominant, pretty out front, but same thing. FlyQuest was driving the match the entire way. They were definitely in the driver's seat. Next up, Team Liquid Honda faced off Azurus Estral. This was a 2-1 scoreline to break up our pattern of 2-0s. Azurus gave us a little bit more fight. They were able to make some match stuff happened, scoring 1 point on Team Liquid Honda, but Honda bringing home the victory 2-1 going on to the next round. Our final match was Cloud9 Kia versus Loud, resulting in a 2-0 match. This was a game I did not catch too much on, but Nick, was there anything to report here on that scoreline of 2-0? Was it actually a fighting or was it just snowballs all the way?
I didn't enjoy any of these games.
Why was that, bro?
Yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got for you, man. Like I watched them. I was just not entertained really. Like it didn't really feel fun. It made me think that like there needs to be like drafting in League of Legends for like new players, and like current players need to be redistributed. I don't know.
Interesting. That seems like such a stretch concept, and I'm sure it's not totally fleshed out, but coming from a sentiment of like these games were kind of like blah for you because of the score lines.
The easiest way to think about it was like, hey, this thing that's supposed to entertain me isn't entertaining. I'll get through it, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like as soon as like you get to a point where like if I was there and I paid tickets, I'd probably be like a little upset. But like there was like points where I'm like, okay, this match is over. Next. And like literally I would just be done. Like, oh, look, they definitely won this game. Boom. That's the point where like there's a lot of points in the game. In a lot of games where like, you know, the breaking point where basically like the game is kind of over. And you know, there's certain times where you can expect people to, make comebacks and stuff. What the hell?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But I did not feel like that was going to happen. So it was just me being like, you know, bored. But then, you know, I watched like the LCK. That was fun. And I watched like, I've been watching a lot of the rat ones, the retones. The retones have been great. Everybody who's copying, biting the style has not been able to demonstrate their success. And I really think like there's a key ingredient missing all over the place. But you know, that's the only spot that I've been really having fun is like the LCK and watching like the Lost Retones and other people.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, for me watching the game, I'm like less keyed into a lot of things. So it seemed like a good time. It did seem very one-sided. So like that's the part where I wasn't excited for any sort of nuance because I don't know how much nuance was really happening, if it was snowball or not. The crowd seemed very, very into it, which of course South America loves League of Legends. So they're supporting their teams. They're taking the piss, as the Brits would say, out of the 100 Thieves the best they could. But it, you know, from the game I saw, but it really wasn't doing much for them. Like it literally like didn't phase them. They loved the energy. They liked being there, etc. It did seem like the crowd was having a good time, but yeah, I imagine it was probably not fun seeing your teams, your regional sports teams, esports teams getting knocked down by the visitors essentially. But Nick, is this a difference of the Fearless draft, like a grasp on the Fearless draft? Is it mechanical? Is it just like exposure to games and scrimming, coaching perhaps? Because like you did mention the difference, like how it felt watching the LCK. And granted, LCK's got to be the main character still of League of Legends esports, but if they're ever going to have rivals of different regions, essentially, they're going to need to figure out how to get good. And what is it? Is it like a coaching thing, a scrim thing? Is it Fearless draft is new, so they don't understand it? Why was LCK more entertaining, engaging for you?
I think the overall skill level was just more even. Like it was just like there were some stomps just in general in the LCK, but it didn't feel, I don't know, I feel like I don't even want to say it's like a skill thing or anything like that. I personally want to say that it's like this joining of the LTA, becoming the LTA, I think has been like a negative for the region for me. I think like if I were to like really boil it down, I don't think it has anything to do with like truly like the level of the games all that much. Like they were like a little bit of stomps in general, certain things that, happened and didn't happen. But I think that's really like where it came down to me. It was like, I don't want to say like who cares, but it's just not pulling me in. It feels really disjointed for me. Unlike
Gotcha.
the
Okay.
LCK, which is like something that I'm already familiar with, the LEC,
Yeah.
you know, the LPL and stuff like that. So like nothing changes over there. And then we just have like big sweeping changes. We're playing for like a month and then going to a cross conference. And it's like, man, like you're playing these teams like once. I'll be honest, like if we didn't know that we were playing them again, like what would be the point of like watching these things when it really has like, there's like no value to it. Like, as you see with like like based on like results, right? Like seemingly like no value, but
yeah, this was last year with extra steps essentially, but that's also coming out of last year where the US had 7 teams because one dropped out. And so like you had the same 7 teams play each other and kind of see the same games. And that was kind of the complaint we had for last season, I remember. But that question, I think you answered it, but just for my clarity, they're going to be doing cross-continent or LTA North versus LTA South cross-conference play again in a different split, right?
Dude, I have to honestly look up the way the LTA works again. Like it's in the second one. Oh my God. Welcome to the LTA. Yeah, here we go. Split 1. And then let's see. No, let's split 2. Double round robin best of ones within the North and the South conferences. So followed by top 6 playoff bracket, which sounds like no, it's just going to be the top 6 from each one's go to the playoff, I guess. The winner of each conference will be crowned. The conference champions earn a spot in the mid MSI. So like, no. Like that's what I thought, but I didn't want to speak on it again, being an idiot. Like, no.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of
like,
weird.
Split 3.
And like, I know there's going to be promotion, relegation with some of this stuff. I'm not seeing any information on Liquipedia about like split 2 for stuff. 8 teams. Maybe there's something here. 5 bracket. Yeah, I think it's just going to go into MSI. Yeah, winners qualify for MSI. So they're not even going to be playing cross conference, at least in split 2. Maybe we'll see it again for split 3. But like then, yeah, I think I agree to that point where it's like feels lackluster. It seems more like exhibition, but that means something. And that just feels weird too. It's experimental perhaps. When you were describing it though, it kind of reminded me of like, you know, being the best at a video game in your friend group and then going to play some other friends and going, oh, wait, no, I'm really bad. And like, I need to get better. And like, that might be the situation for the LTA South, possibly even the LTA North when they go over to the Asia region.
Learning about canceling in any game. Like that's it. That's what happens. Like no, like, and that's I think that's a mean way to say it, but like I don't think that the LTA South is like, I don't really think it's going to be too much of like, oh my God, these players are so bad or anything like that. I think it's just going to get warmed up and everything like that. Plus, like people are traveling and stuff like that. People like it's like. Yeah. It's just different. It's just a different thing. There could be all sorts of things like, you know, you never know. They could have just been nerves that took them out. And maybe they would have played better in different circumstances and stuff like that. But
and like famously in a lot of games, there's again talking about the meta because this is the esports meta, talking about the meta. Regions play games differently. You know, just picking up a game and playing with your group of friends, you're going to play different than the group of friends down the street. And doing that on a global regional scale from North America to South America, from the US to Europe, from Europe to Africa, Africa to Asia. I could just name all 7 continents if you want me to, but you get my point where it's like even the style of play and then the comfort choices where somebody might be good in not, and they might, how it plays into the statistical meta, not just the player sort of perception meta as well. Like it could also wax and wane with that, but you never know. 100 Thieves, you know, has said don't keep secrets behind closed doors, but they're a team that goes into the LCK, those international tournaments, and they've got them secret strats behind closed doors and actually kind of make a run sometimes. But they, you know, they do it. So maybe we just, you know, maybe they got to learn the secret sauce of that down in South America. Maybe the regions need to kind of like imitate, and there's a lot of factors that play into it for sure. So who knows what it was.
Never know. But, we're going to be looking at some fun games after the cross conference. Once we go to first stand, it's going to be, mini worlds, right? So worlds 1, worlds 2, and worlds 3 will happen during the year. So like the MSI is worlds 2, right? Worlds is worlds 3. See how many worlds you can win in a year. And then there'll be like the EWC. The EWC is going to be another worlds, right? So there's going to be 4 worlds. Holy shit. Planets. No, like, so it's just gonna, like, hopefully it'll be more fun. And next year I hope they're gonna change this. Like, I don't know if it's gonna be the exact same way, but it's gonna be really, really weird. I think they should just take like I don't know, for maybe like one split, just take 5 teams, put them in North, take 5 teams, put them in South, and then have those people play against each other. I don't know, but that would defeat the conference, like the whole reason for like conferences and stuff. But like, yeah, in general, I can say right now, like, I don't think that shit was fleshed out. Come on, like right now, like, look at me talking about this shit. like, oh yeah, we got the conferences. What's that for? It's just to keep the South and the South and the North and the North. Yeah. So you have a distinct place to root for. We don't have a lot of travel. We don't want to have a lot of paying. It would disrupt a lot of stuff for South Americans if like their favorite team were to become like a North American team. That would obviously like gut that whole thing. And the whole thing was intended to bring on more viewership anyway. Stop saying that would be a good way. But no, I don't know. So, it'll be more fun. Hopefully it'll be more fleshed out. We don't even know what split 3 is supposed to be. If I know what it's supposed to, like the little caveat to it was that what the losers get to pick the people, or was it the like one of the teams you get to pick who you're playing against? I don't remember. Like, I think it's the losers. The people with the worst record get to pick one of the losers. That's like such a mean way to say it.
I hope one of the randomizer bonuses for the splits next year is multi-ball. I would love to see that. Bad jokes aside, I was talking to you before the stream about how
did anybody get other
multi-ball, come on, it's a Futurama joke, man. Multi-ball.
Not my Futurama.
I was talking about before stream a couple other sports leagues will do cross conference interesting, and specifically the NFL, National Football League. They'll have like one conference specifically play another conference every year, and then that will rotate around to, like, I think there's 8 conferences. So the AFC East will play the AFC South this year, and then the NFC West next year, and then the NFC Central the year after. And all the 2 teams will do that, and it's kind of this way to round robin the season. It might be interesting if they could figure it out that maybe one extended split, because split 1 this year for league felt really short. Even as a person who doesn't really totally follow, this felt like no time for me to attach or figure out. Really, it was like 2-3 weeks, and then we're moving into cross conference. So it was like already over, moving on. It'd be cool to see if they can get a little bit of a longer split and have this like rotation of teams where like the LTA North goes over to Korea for like a month or 2 and plays the teams over there. And like they have like this rotating sort of thing. That'd be kind of
everybody
cool.
calls it. It's a pretty normal thing. It's called Korean boot camp.
Hey, Billy here. Wanted to take a quick minute to let you know a few things. If you're enjoying the content so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It's free for you and it really helps us out. You can find the Esports Meta live every week on Twitch and YouTube. It's where we film the podcast, play games, hang out, and chat. If social media is more your vibe, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Threads, or Blue Sky. This is a video game community that's excited to talk about esports, so jump on in the conversation. Of course, you can find more content like this on YouTube. Just hit subscribe right here or here. Either way, we appreciate you being here, so thanks for watching. Let's get back to the show.
I'm not even joking. That's like a legitimate thing. Like they'll literally fly their, like, we're here for 1 month for Korean boot camp, and they'll play in Korean solo queue, and they'll scrim against Korean teams and stuff, some other teams and stuff like that. But they're closer to a lot of talent. Being that, like, if you're in Korea, you're closer to players from China and Korea than you are to when you are in America. They're kind of alone by themselves, right?
And like
So
you get more games and reps, etc. I want to see the actual leagues do that, not just like as a casual organizational thing, but like as a cross promotion to these other teams. Have these other teams learned something? Maybe these other organizations kind of like pick up, like get their ass stomped essentially, but like do it. It's more than just your bigger brother beating you every single time. It's also, you know, his friends down the street and then the kids from school, you know, kind of stuff. You learn more from losing than you do winning, and going all around hopefully would help that. Not just, oh, I'm losing to the same person over and over again.
sure, I slightly agree. I'm a person who learns from restarting. Like I don't like continuing stuff. That's why I'm like such a big like just FF. Like, get me out of here. Like, let's learn how to play the early game before we learn how to play the end game. Like, I'm like, what are you doing, Molten Core, before you even did Dire Maul? Like, are you crazy? Like, no, but I mean, like, so besides all of our long-winded talking of all this nonsense, right? The cool thing to take away is that like we're gonna see like FlyQuest versus 100 Thieves. And we're gonna see Cloud9 versus you know, TL. That hasn't happened this year yet. And so that'll be cool.
Oh, you're talking about the upcoming games this weekend.
Yeah, the upcoming games, this will be the first time that they play against each other.
And they're gonna still be playing in Brazil, right?
Yeah, they're not gonna go home.
There's like a little bit of irony for this, though, right? Like it's just all the North America teams playing in the South American home stand kind of thing.
Yeah, they're like, dude, like this right here is the viewership plan, right? They're gonna try. They're putting these guys in front of them, right? They brought in the ringers, dude. Yeah, Johnny Knoxville's in here right now. Like they brought the ringers in, and they're literally just gonna have them, you know, just try to perform on the stage and be like, "Hey, can we get some of you South Americans to love our North American teams?" Like the answer is probably gonna be like, "No."
Dude, that was a. Oh my God. I remember in the local band scene, that was a strategy to making it, right? You try to steal other bands' fans by like getting on their show, right, and then being like, hey guys, you like this band, you really like us, listen to us. And then like you're saying that's what the North American LTA North is doing. They're going in to the other guy's show and they're just trying to steal their fans.
That's what it feels like. Like that is not even a prepared thought in any way. That is just a fart of the brain. 100%. Like that was just me just farting out of my mouth. Just 100%. They're trying to steal South American fans from hosting the finals. Like this is a long con from Marky Z over here.
Oh boy. We'll see how it pans out for him, man. But you know, these games hopefully will be a lot less 2-0s, perhaps. 100 Thieves. Why did I say it like that? 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves and FlyQuest, Team Liquid Honda, Cloud9. You're expecting a little bit of a tighter scoreline, a little bit closer competition here?
Not really. Like for some reason, I feel like this is going to be like, I feel like this is going to be FlyQuest. Definitely like wins. And I think Team Liquid's going to win. I don't think that there's really going to, I don't think it's really going to be too much of a game. I think we might have a little bit more fun than the games we've like seen. Okay. So it might look a little bit more back and forth to like the casual viewer and stuff like that. But I think that these games are going to be like, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be some like micro play that just ends it for C9. Just something like one stupid thing. And it's just that little tiny snowflake that just ends up taking the whole game out.
Man, a butterfly effect.
That's it. Yep. That's it. Like I think Cloud9 going to lose, 100 Thieves going to lose. Unfortunate. Drake's losing twice this year. Just a real shame. That's what you get for owning part of that team, Drake.
A little bit more than twice. But anyway, let's go into another person who probably, well, they retired like Drake should, but they're making a comeback. So I'm going to do this weird, awkward segue into Doublelift is returning to pro play in League of Legends. Oh my God. It's really exciting. It's cool, but there's a little bit of an asterisk caveat. Nick, do you want to explain through this a little bit more, or shall I do my half-assed kind of knowledgeable?
I mean, like once we get, like, you can do whatever you want on this one. Like, so you do it would be the proper answer instead of like, just do whatever you want, loser. No, like, just go through it. Once we get to like the players, I have a little bit more like, more information on the players themselves.
Great. Okay.
That's pretty much it.
So I'll try to look not as silly as possible, do as little as farting as possible, but Doublelift, the famous, probably one of the best ever, if not the best ever to do it, is coming back. He's retired essentially twice, but he's back coming to play professionally. But the caveat here is that he's putting together essentially a stream team. He's not looking for the pro life, but he's looking to get back into the swing of it and going for the notoriety, going for the organizational aspect of it, bringing on some big name players to help with that organization building essentially, and competing, but not doing the no-lifing aspect of it. Did I miss anything specific here? I know we can go over who he's brought on so far, but that kind of sums up his action plan here, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like they call it, like saying like the no lifing thing, like they're all like league streamers. Like, they're all no lifing already, dude. They're just not full sweat at all times. But it's a nice little roster just in general. Like TA Flade is like is pretty good. I hate saying his name, Poe Belter. I don't mind saying Poe Belter's name, and then Biofrost. Like Poe Belter's like a really he's a pretty engaging person just overall. As far as like league is concerned, like what my memory of like Poe Belter is like he's a pretty well-spoken, engaging person about league, and that's going to be good having him on this on like camera again. Biofrost, Bio Daddy is great. Like he's a support, and so like he used to support Doublelift like back in the day, and like he's not like the best support, but he has some like really good plays, and everybody was calling him Bio Daddy for a little bit. I
love the community nicknames that come through like that. Gotta love it.
And so like they're just cool. Like really engaging people just in general. And Biofrost. Doublelift is like he's a very mentally strong individual, and he has a lot of engaging content just in general. Oh shit, look at that. This is how I find out Doublelift's gonna get married to Lena. Good for you, bro. Congrats. That's sick.
I do know another big part of this is that, yes, they're not going to go full sweat, which I think is a big thing. But like when you do play in professional esports, I've been wanting to cover Shroud talking about this, Moist Critical talking about this. But generally speaking, there is a sense you are no-lifing. And yeah, if you're a streamer, you're generally no-lifing video games anyway. But like there's a definite difference when you're playing at a professional video game level, because it's not even just like regular sports, traditional sports, where you play the game, you get good and you do no life it a bit. There's a lot more quality of life and freedom in that stuff, even at like the lower levels. With esports, it's so fast paced. It's so immature in a lot of ways. It's harder to like quantify it. So like, that's what I kind of mean when, like I said, no life there. So I think they're trying to take it a lot easier in the stream thing, even essentially as coaching. I saw in the article as well, talking about how they're not going to have a dedicated coach per se, but they're going to bring on guest coaches to kind of like, I guess, assist with the content, maybe going off of the style of Los Ratones, the rap ones a little bit. They have kind of like mentioned them a little bit of the strategy here. In the article, Doublelift is probably taking notes. Double is also a big personality, like you said. So like it's somebody I know, not being totally keyed into this community in this game. So seeing them kind of attached is kind of been gratifying, because it's some of the stuff that we keep talking about, right? It's like, starting an esports organization isn't just about playing games, winning games, which you want to do, but you got to make money, and money comes from community, and community is about engagement and value for viewers and value for this people watching and playing with you and getting attached emotionally to, the people on your team, not just the brand or the logo. This is like, we've talked about before, like the New York Yankees had over 100 years to do the thing where they're the number 3 most valuable sports franchise in the world. Team Liquid's been doing it for what, like 15, 20 years?
Yeah, so TL's been doing it for a while. They make some good money. But what was I going to say? Like Doublelift and them doing this is like pretty good. I don't want to say I want to say this in like the nicest way possible, is like they don't have the same thing that the Lost Ratones have. Okay. The Lost Ratones, sure. And I will say that like the Lost Ratones have won, and like everybody's starting to learn it. Like this is the thing. The Bouse has changed this fucking game, dude. Like the guy's a savage. Like I don't say that like he's the only reason why the Lost Ratones like work. But he is like, I think he's a good 60%. Like he brings some really good stuff to like the games overall. Like when you're watching the games, but also he has like a unique play style that is like different, and is now like, his Scion, which is basically like his like signature champ, was not the most like competitive. Like it was sometimes competitive, sometimes not. It wasn't like a mainstay or anything like that, but like people are starting to not like completely take his like play style, but like basically they're like taking some stuff from him because it's very mathematical in some of the things that he does. But his stuff is like super engaging. Like even I just watched a video of their support who is Reckless, whatever we want to call him. I always mess up his name and always get confused. He was infected by the Bouse. Like he's playing Scion. He's playing Scion 80 top. Like, and the Bouse is like, he's so great and so engaging with like, even in like his interviews and stuff like that. Like he's been doing some real fun stuff. But it's oh my god, he even like in this game, like he's changing as a player, like he's getting better. You can see like his journey of like getting better, learning certain things are like overpowered. And I don't want to say it like that, like I won't say what I was gonna say, but no, because it's like offensive, but only offensive to people who like don't play League. And it might be offensive to him, but like not really in like the way that I wouldn't want it to be offensive. It's like the most endearing thing I could possibly say. He's like a friend who just like, he knows League, but like sometimes he plays like a person that like you're bringing into League, and it's just like, damn, he's just out here playing. What is going on? And it works, and you're like, Jesus Christ, where did he get this math from?
Yeah, he's got that chaotic good energy, it sounds like. And
it's really, really, it's just really awesome. And I think like he's the cornerstone of them. And I think everybody else, like, they're not really trying to replicate it. Like Ruddy Sack is doing different. Like Doublelift's going to do different, where they have like the coaches come in. I'm sure it's going to be different in general because of like the personalities overall. But it's just a cool thing. It's just a cool thing to see with everybody doing this. I think it's the way to go. And I think, maybe one way that they could like reach out, and I'll just not like reach out to us, but like reach out to like their community would be like, why do I want your autograph? Like, yeah, I want to 1v1 you in ARAM. Like I want to get beat so bad by a pro. Like I don't know why, but like that would be like a really cool thing. Like, buy a ticket to this event, you can 1v1 Doublelift, like back alley deals.
That'd be kind of cool, like a VIP package kind of thing. But yeah. I get you.
Can't do
like,
too many, otherwise he's grinding. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like it's really clear what Lost Ratones has been doing, making waves in the community, in the esports area and venture, especially for an esport that's been going on for so long, shaking things up, kind of redefining what it means and like the status quo of like what players and teams should be doing in competition. And you're not just there to just be stoic, like quiet boys. You're having fun. You're pushing the limits where you can and adding personality essentially to the game. So that's essentially what I hear. And I really love to hear that. Have loved watching it so far, and we'll see what happens with Los Ratones. We'll see what happens with Doublelift, especially as he's going to his Merry Man meta phase, and this new team of streamer team essentially, but like not. These guys are professional players. They're good at the game. They know what they're doing, but they're looking to take that angle for community and engagement that Los Ratones has been paving the wave with. But I think, Nick, is there anything else we should look out for here? Because I know we'll be expecting March 10th for the start of First Stand and the teams that are going to get to that. So before we wrap up this segment, moving on, and this last 2 weeks of competition, what are we looking out for? Is there anything to note or move forward with?
No, like nothing really like of note for the most part. What do you expect? Like, these guys haven't really like played each other like that much, right? Like, so if we're just talking about like the LTA cross conference, right? This is the first time that these teams are going to do best of threes with like the fearless draft. So everything should be fearless on this. So we'll see how that turns out, because the first time that they're facing each other for the 2025 League of Legends esports, right? This would be the first time that they're doing it, which is like odd. Right, we got into cross conference and like the teams didn't even play each other once. Like, and like another thing, right? The
first week that we covered it, I was confused because like literally round 2 there was a best of 1 game, and I that was so confusing to me after like a best of 3 kind of score line. But kind of interesting to see what they do with this best of 3 series with the fearless draft, and if it's going to impact the overall. All right, Nick, you still here? I think we dropped for a second. That might be a no. It's a good chance he hit X on there. There he is. All right, Nick, I think you violated the terms of service and you kind of said bad things about my game, so I had to kick you out.
That happens. I say bad things about every game. I'm grumpy and bitter.
How dare you? How dare you say a thing about the game I love? Anyway, speaking into games that nobody loved, but everybody did, we're going to move into our next subject, which is kind of interesting, but then not. The how should I say this? The rumors of its demise have not been greatly exaggerated. The life and death of multiverses has been quick and interesting. This was a game we were talking about just a year ago. It is a platformer, a Smash-like fighting game platformer based on the Warner Brothers, Warner Studio characters overall. This past week, about actually 2 weeks ago, January 31st, they made an update saying we have an important announcement to share regarding multiverses, and I gotta learn how to read. After careful consideration, our next season will serve as the final season, and they're basically gonna stop supporting the game. All online features will conclude on May 30th, which is interesting. Not that much time. They're gonna drop servers off. At that point, there will be an option to play multiverses offline via local gameplay mode or against AI and solo opponents. So, Nick, this was, like I said, a game that we started talking about last year. It looked like a lot of fun. There was a lot of bugs, a lot of glitches, not just Bugs Bunnies, but like, I remember LeBron and Bugs Bunny having a glitch where they had infinite combos off of just button spamming kind of stuff. The game has this announcement, January 31st. They're going to close it. The final season launched on February 4th, and then the server is going to shut down May 30th. And like, what do you make of all of this? This is a game that's lifespan has been a year, maybe a year and a half max. Well, what do you make of this information?
Live service game. Like, is what it is, I guess. Like, it's a real shame that it goes down. Like, it's obviously a game that should have been started offline, with all the online stuff being like the icing on the cake, and just sell it as like a $60 game. But money gets in the way of that. I don't know exactly, but like, did they have battle passes? I know they had skins that they sold. The game was free to play, so like, they didn't. And it, like, I don't know. It just seems really silly. Like, there's a lot of cool characters. I've spoken to a couple people who are like literally like the game, But it's a live service game that is patched, and it's a fighting game. And I think that that's a very hard rope to walk, just in general.
Agreed, man. And like, I do feel like the development company, like, what is it? Warner Brothers isn't unusually, sorry, Warner Brothers isn't, what's the word? They're not dumb. They know how to make video games. I don't say they want to make great video games all the time. I think one of the worst video games in history was that Superman 64 game. So like, you know, it could also just be they're writing this off to shelf it like they did a couple of those movies. It could be something, it's James Gunn. James Gunn is killing this game kind of mentality where they're tightening up the content across the IP across the board. But like, this was a game that a lot of players definitely got excited for. This is a game that a lot of people played and then stopped playing. And they would cite that it was a buggy experience for the online netcode, which is important in fighting games, all the way down into like actual character interactions, etc. So like the last point here I'm going to make before I get your thoughts on this, Nick, is that in this sort of throw of what's it called? This, oh, we're going to die. We're going to like this dramatic swan song of sorts where it's like, hey, servers are going to go offline May 30th. You can't buy our currency anymore. The battle pass, this is the last season. They then announced the latest season with a patch, and like the patch bringing this up, it adds a new character. Okay. Like it's just part of the roadmap. They're just going to do, they make their money, but then like it fixes a ton of bugs. Going into down here of where is it? Ranked maps, and then local play, arena, general combat, automatic tools, camera. They're just fixing mountains and mountains of bugs on this last patch overall. And then you get a bunch of character buffs and nerfs, which isn't unusual. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate did that thing when what's his face said that this was going to be the last update. They're going to still have online servers, but like, you know, they're going to just, this is the last state of the characters. So like, it's not unusual for this part, but like, this is a ton of bugs to be fixing overall for like a hey, we don't care about this game anymore, essentially. So, Nick, what do you make of that? The live service aspect, etc., or the studio aspect, developer aspect, that they announce they're going to die and close the game, but then announce a patch that fixes everything.
I don't know. Like, I can't really make too much of it. Like, my big question is just going to be like, are you going to give up? Not like give up the game, right? But are you going to be dicks about the game? Like, are they going to stop people from like running tournaments for the game, like because it'll just be like local play? You could have like the regular local tournament. You don't have to have an online tournament or anything like that because the servers won't be up. But for how long will like they let, like, is this just going to be like a Smash, you know, where it's just like people will literally like play it, but like how do you play it? You have to have like your friend's SD card to download it onto your thing. Like they're legitimately just going to kill the game, right? And that's the big problem with like live service games, and why like I'm not a big person of like, yeah, spend your money on live service games and then complain about it. That makes sense. Like these games literally are not forever. Like it's crazy to me that I've been playing League of Legends for as long as I've been playing. Like World of Warcraft, that's another crazy one, right? But like I paid $15 per like month, right? I'm not playing it like now, but these games are still like existing and everything like that. But how much longer do they have? Right? I'm not optimistic that League has 10 years in it. Like that's crazy as hell.
There was an insider comment specifically with like a World of Warcraft, is that they kind of figured there was a shelf life to the game, like it was going to end. So they didn't really update, right? And like one of the arguments and like part of their insider information was that like, oh, their World of Warcraft is listening to their players because of the bad accusations, et cetera, and trying to fight back. But then also they're realizing there's a life after the end of the story, after the soft limit, right? And maybe that's what happens. These developers go in thinking, oh, this game is going to be like a nice 5-year plan, and then let's move on to the next one, just like a pump and dump, etc. So you're absolutely right. Like live service games, you have to go in expecting that you don't own anything and that you're basically spending time as well as spending money. So if you're spending the money, is your time valued in that money aspect? And that's a whole different conversation, but I wonder, especially for this one, it's a year later. We've talked about so many different games that have come out in that time frame. X Defiant was another one that closed. Concord was like a big explosion of not even getting to open, and it closed. And here we have one that had a fighting chance and then kind of shit the bed, maybe on purpose. Well, the player count and the player base dropped dramatically after launch, and then players apparently, I wonder if I could pull up Steam and take a look at some of the game comments, but like my understanding of the player sentiment was that it was buggy, it was fun, but then boring because it was like just a defined tier list that never, not that it never changed, but it's like this character is always the best. And then like developers took a while to do anything for it. I can check that last one. So before the announcement that they were going under, the last patch note was January 14th. The final patch note was February 4th. So that's not too far away. December 17th. So they had a patch about once. No, they had more than once a month. A little sporadic here and there. December had 2 patches. But I wonder too if it was then focused on just selling the new character, like, you know, putting out the new thing a little bit.
One of the interesting things about this one is that like one of the big complaints was the people who actually bought like the founders packs, right? They weren't able to spend they weren't able to spend their currency, but they weren't able to spend their currency because nobody was playing the game. And because nobody was playing the game, they wanted to get more people to like unlock characters and shit. So they allowed people, like gave more currency for the free to play aspect of it, basically negating all of the stuff that they purchased anyway. So they literally have mountains of the premium currency that they can't spend and are just going bye-bye. Whereas like anybody who just picked up and played the game got all the characters and stuff. Like, I don't know. It's,
no, that's I was gonna say that's an interesting aspect to it, and that kind of just goes to show the pump and dump mentalities, the squeeze, accountants and marketeers making the decisions instead of like gamers and developers like contributing. Everybody has a place at that table, man.
Bro, this guy's got 64 hours. He wrote Good Riddance. That's foul, bro. Like that's so funny. Like he wrote, like some players are just so mad in these comments, man.
Wow. I mean, gamers are famously the most calm, cool, and collected, especially in online forums, of course. So the decorum is especially there. But this is probably one of those that like they're justified. What was that Tarkov game last year that did the same, where they offered founders packs, but then ended up giving stuff for free to everybody else? Like that, it's just wild when that stuff happens and they're not like compensating those people. All right, Nick, what are you reading? What are you seeing right now? I know you're kind of focused.
This guy's got like 100 hours, and he's like, "Are you kidding me? I spent over $100 in this game as a founder when it first launched, and it was amazing with tons of players and hype. Then you took it down, killed all the momentum and popularity, released it with tons of microtransactions and BS grindy features no one wanted." Like it goes on, but like my man's got 100 hours. By the way, his review is a thumbs up. Okay. Like he still loves the game. And it just goes to show you that it should have started out as an offline game.
Dude, yeah, he makes a good point. I forgot about that. They had the beta that was like super hype, and then they took it down after like 3 or 4 months. I don't remember the exact time frame. They took it down, and then like a lot of people didn't come back to it. And then they heard bad things about it. So like, absolutely valid point. That gamer knows what's up. That's totally based. I'm with them on that one.
Yeah. Some of the other ones are pretty funny and unreadable at the moment.
Earmuffs, everybody. Earmuffs. But I don't know how much more we could really say about that. I think that summed it up. We gave the justification around it, or the synopsis around this. Did you like Multiverses, Nick? Did you get to play it? If you're watching still or out there?
I played in the beginning. I had fun, but like I didn't like it as much as I liked Aether, Rivals of Aether 2, and Smash. It felt fun, but it felt like it was missing another person. Not like like me, like I was missing another person who was like super into the game.
Oh, gotcha.
Or like actually into the game, like at the same time as me. Cause that's how I got into like fighting games in general. Cause then you could just like play that person and have more fun with it. But like
over and over. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I'm part of the like, all right, let's just reset. Let's do it. Like, especially in fighting games.
Especially in fighting games myself too. And I got a few games in on this one, but it didn't gravitate for me. It felt floaty. I did run into a few of those bugs, and I've kind of chalked up to beta, etc. But yeah, I don't want to exactly say good riddance, but it's like, well, who didn't see that coming kind of vibe on that one, especially a year in, maybe even less than a year in overall. But maybe that's not the last we'll talk about it. We've seen some of these games have like a Phoenix arc or a zombie arc. I'm looking at you, Gigantic, where you then turned around and started selling for $40 and then you closed again. Hopefully we don't get something that dramatically bad, but I do know that there's a community that loves it. We'll see what happens in the offline space. Maybe they'll be developing some Dolphin mod where they can play the netcode online on the back end covertly. We'll see how that goes, and maybe we'll get to talk about it in a bit. But Nick, I think that kind of wraps up my thoughts on multiverses. How about you?
I'm already on the next topic.
All right, my man knows what's up. Well, this next one, we're going to need to buckle up a little bit because this is a big one. It is one that I was excited about. I was excited to talk about multiverses as well, honestly. But Nick, I do need to ask because it's probably be a little lengthy. Do you need to go rehydrate, grab some more coffee, go to the bathroom? We'll take a little break.
I'll give you 30 minutes to go over your happiness. 30 minutes.
It's not just about, it's not just like a thing about my happiness, but we're going to be talking about Overwatch 2. The big announcement that happened this week, which essentially they're making Overwatch 3, which is really Overwatch 1. And to do that, we're going to first go through our OWCS scores for this past weekend. There we go. Scores up. Week 3 of the OWCS Stage 1. These are the scores for North America. I'm going to run through these scores as quick as I can because there was a lot of 3 Overwatch. It was a lot of 3-0s and 3-1s. Teams are looking dominant, and it pretty much the understanding of the meta has solidified. You either got it or you don't. We are seeing the start of relegation teams hit that bottom line, that bottom mark. We'll go through that standings right after these scores. So week 3, we had Nightmare play Avidity. Nightmare taking that 3-0 pretty definitively. Timeless taking on Amplify. Timeless has been one that's been a little bit shaky, and Amplify has been showing some sparks of life here and there. Same with Avidity, but like this is not really doing anything here. Timeless wins 3-1 over Amplify. On Saturday, Nightmare played Shikigami, and this was, you kind of knew it was going in. Shikigami has struggled in this new counter hazard meta where people have actually fleshed out sequence of strategy and changes. Nightmare 3-0s Shikigami on Saturday. Then we move into Team Liquid facing off against Amplify, also taking a 3-0. Team Liquid has been looking strong, especially on Wrecking Ball, but I believe Amplify was able to counter Wrecking Ball a little bit. Didn't stop the rest of Team Liquid from winning that definitively. I gotta stop using that word definitively. Next up, our last game for Saturday, 3-0 Timeless over Rad Esports. Rad, I hope you're getting some stuff together. You are showing some signs of life, but that bottom line is looking pretty scary right now. Then finally, last 2 games of this weekend, Avidity played Shikigami. This is really more of a stand against that red line. Who's going to get relegated or have to play this relegated match? Avidity taking the win 3-0 over Shikigami. Space Station, our final game of the weekend, faced off against Rad Esports, winning 3-1. Space Station Gaming, also one of the teams that just gets it. They've have shown moments where they have inconsistencies, but they are ultimately making moves and winning through this meta, this current patch. Now, we do have a big meta change coming up this week. Season 15 of Overwatch is coming out tomorrow. As of filming this, February 18th is the day that released, and that will include the new perk system we'll go over in just a bit. That is going live immediately on the OWCS. So week 4 here in stage 1 for North America, as well as the rest of the leagues, is going to be pretty nuts to see what these coaches and players can do with the new stuff. Will it be enough for Amplify and Shikigami to make it out of that relegation spot? Or will Timeless just solidify number 1 some more? So we'll see that coming up this next weekend. Let me run down the final standings for week 3. We have Timeless number 1, looking at a 4-1 record. Space Station Gaming, number 2, also with a 4-1 record. Nightmare, a close third with a 4-1 record, and that +8 differential. They're bouncing back and forth in that 1-2-3 spot. Team Liquid has shown a little bit more uncertainty, but I think that's because they had a slow start with the original meta. They didn't quite get it with Hazard, but now they're definitely eating good with the Wrecking Ball Sigma stuff. Avidity's our number 5 team. They're one of the teams that have shown promise, but have struggled against the top 4. They're going to definitely need to make some moves, but they're probably just praying to stay in here. Ratty Sports number 6, Shikigami number 7, and Amplify as our number 8 team. The bottom 2 spots will be facing off to see who gets kicked out of stage 1 of the OWCS, and the top 2 teams will be going into the international tournament, international play coming up after stage 4. Nick, I've talked a lot about this. I'm going to prep us into the numbers here. Do you have any sort of takeaway as our not Overwatch guy?
All right, tell me how many times Torbjorn got banned or picked on this one. Tough guy. All right, cool. You wanted to throw that shit in my face last week, you hotshot. Like,
well, we are seeing more of the same. We are seeing more of the same. And going down to Torb, he was banned 3 times total this week. Not necessarily as much, but still a significant amount. That counter Hazard meta with Sim Torb is looking strong. Sim was banned 2 times this week. Somber was banned 4 times this week. Rounding us out for our top DPS bans overall. The biggest thing to look at is that people seem to be getting more comfortable with the strats and running Lucio, but then also banning Lucio 6 times overall. I need to just scroll up real quick. I want to do that so I'm not flashbanging the camera, but like there was only 46 games this week. Similar to last week, there was only 44 matches, 44 bans. I'm sorry, not games. It'd be half of that. There was 22 games last week, rounds last week. That would mean there was 28 matches, rounds this week where there's bans happening. So relatively low number when the first week was like 20. Well, I'm doing some math wrong, but yeah, generally it was like a good 5 or 6 more on average. So a lot happening here, a lot going on. The meta has shifted significantly last week and it's stayed the same since then. But like I said, coming up in week 3, we're going to see a new mindset going into this, a much different, more drastic with the perks. Before I go into the rest of the updates and just have a little bit more insight from you, Nick, here is the comparison of hero bans in week 1, 2, and 3 as an overall. N is up there. Hazard's still up there. Hazard's past 12 total, I think. 12 total bans of the sort. Wrecking Ball is also up there now. That was one that happened very swiftly in the last 2 weeks. We were seeing a lot more Wrecking Ball bans. Lucio, Malga's kind of dropped off a little bit. Juno's dropped off a little bit, but there's small changes, but the meta seems pretty defined, and that counter meta seems really strong as well.
Now, what about how many times they were played?
I don't have the hours in the day to watch every match to kind of make a look at that, but that is very important information. Absolutely. I will say there have been a couple Orisa bans, and I think that's been mostly trolling. I think that's been mostly safety picks at best, protecting your other tanks. But I think it's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. We're not going to send. We don't want this niche comp, or we don't really matter. You're not going to play that. So I do feel like the play percentages matter, but we're generally seeing much of the same. It's fast dive. It's this solo entrepreneur deployable sort of comps. moving around. The Wrecking Ball, Sim, Torb, Baptiste was. Juno has been really strong in the meta. Lucio's been really strong in the meta. Anna's been really strong in the meta for healers, supports. Sojourn for more of the hit scan vibes. Sombra has been surprisingly banned a lot for a hero that like people would consider bad at high levels, but I think they're realizing is pretty strong and provides a lot different value than Tracer. Looking at the numbers here, you're seeing that comparable. So if they're getting banned, it means they're also getting played. Like they're not banning Mercy because Mercy's not getting played. So I think this does kind of speak to that a little bit, Nick. But yes, you're right. Those numbers, those play numbers are absolutely important for the full picture context.
I'm just thinking, I don't know, like, what do we have? Tuesday is talents where like Heroes of Overwatch drops, where we get like cookie cutter builds and you only get actually one choice because Blizzard doesn't know how to make you have the ability to have a choice. Like there's never a choice when it comes to Blizzard, but hey, it's going to be fun for a week, boys. No, it's going to be fun. It's going to be nice.
I'd give it more than a week thing. And this, I think this is saying a lot for them going into it. Like they're not ones to step out their comfort zone, especially when money is involved. The bank accountants like get really like, yeah. But they're taking that risk here, and I think it's going to be worth it. And yes, it could be a little bit riskier, but essentially this is a similar system you see in Apex, no? Like we'll talk about what it is. Anymore. We'll talk about that in a second. So actually, let me get right to it. So Overwatch 2 this week had their big announcement. They finally followed up on the announcement of the announcement, and they announced that they had a massive update. This is what they consider their yearly update, and specifically starting in season 15, where it's coming from. Now, there's a few things that I'm going to run through here real quick, but I want to just make sure. Yeah, bro, you saw the comment too?
The comment is hilarious. Just womp womp. You ain't winning. It's just beautiful, man. Good job, you.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why this is a constant fight. It's like, you can't tell me about my game that I like kind of comments. We see them ourselves, but yeah, it's so great. I love seeing how salty those people are.
Like they're not even playing the game and they're just like, fuck yeah. Absolutely. Like, they're not going to come back to the game whatsoever, but they're still engaging with it. I don't understand how people actively piss themselves off. But whatever.
They like sipping that poison, man, just constantly. Like, you can't make me like your game. You're dumb. But anyway, yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
The actual update for this week and what they announced, I'm going to speed run this really quick, making sure I got it all right. This past Tuesday, they announced for Season 15 a rank reset, galactic weapons, new weapon skins, basically. Perks, essentially talents on the small game-wide range of things. Loot boxes are back in Season 15 tomorrow. 6v6 classic GOATS meta is going to make a play later this season. They're going to have 6v6 ranked in the mid-season competition. So like that's kind of boss, and that might be their biggest secret move, especially for that division of 5v5 or 6v6. They're bringing weapon charms for your ranks. They're bringing back ranked portrait frames. They're going to introduce hero bans next season in 16, map voting in 2 seasons, map reworks likely in 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons. The new hero is going to get a playtest, Freya Dasher, this season sometime, and they're going to be debuted in season 16. And then the new game mode, Stadium, which looks a lot like a traditional MOBA, less PvE, kind of deadlock. And then finally, third-person POV with the swap sides kind of Gears of War mentality. So, Nick, that's the speed running of all the topics that they announced, essentially the syllabus for your college professor. I can go over the specifics. We'll get more details and take a look at it. But like right from there, you know, as the non-one, as the non-Overwatch guy, as the person who sympathizes perhaps with like, you ain't winning us back kind of Marvel Rivals player. What are your thoughts here? What are your initial impressions? How are you receiving this big announcement?
All right, like one thing sticks out to me, right? Is that like, didn't we just go over like a whole 3 weeks of people from Marvel Rivals screaming about the rank reset, and they're just like, fuck it, do it live, rank reset. The loot box thing comes to me as if like they're complete opposite of the don't follow the people who are being successful right now. They're doing the opposite of someone who's being unsuccessful. I feel like those loot boxes might not be the loot boxes the way that you know them for Overwatch.
Probably not.
And they might be the loot boxes that I know from League of Legends that the community has now been pissed about, that they don't get free boxes anymore, right? And it was like a huge thing for a lot of the player base. So like I feel like that might be, a win for them possibly. Like the loot boxes are back, but guess what? Like you can't buy them really. Like you could buy them if you want, but you also get them for free. And we give you a good amount of them.
You're going to be able to buy that stuff, but the way you get them free and what's inside is going to be the big question mark, of course.
I mean, in League, you had to perform on it. Like someone on your team had to perform as an S, right? Like a grade of an S.
Oh, yeah.
And then you would get it. Like, so 1 out of 5 people, right, have to perform at like a very nice, a very high level in the game. And they can do that while still losing the game, by the way. So like you can still manage to get your box. You can do it. And that was like a pretty cool thing. A lot of people, really enjoyed that. It would reset every season and you can get it once on every champion. So it would also encourage you to get like more champions.
That's
you can get
cool,
champions. Yeah. You can get champions out of the boxes. So it could fuel your next, your next champion to get. And then what else? The map banning system, like map ban pick rate thing, like that's stupid. Just let the community, let the community take out like 2 maps for a season. Let them vote for like a month in the client. Like don't do it on a website. Don't make them log in. As soon as they log into the client, go, which maps do you hate the most? Thanks. Like, and then that's it. And like, and keep them in quick play, but take them out of competitive, like something like that. Like that sounds stupid to put it like directly into the competitive time. Right. Like that's just stupid. Like even in Smash, we're like, let's just go let's go Fountain. Let's go Final Destination. Let's go Battlefield. Like, let's go something with platforms. Let's do like the good maps. Right. Like we all know what the good maps are.
Yeah, you're right. But that's also like a map veto system, which they are going to introduce later this year. And there are some details from some interviews that go about how they're going to do it. And also some insight about what they do currently in the pick maps. But like, I agree. And I think that's kind of knowing what it's going to be. It's going to be like the old Halo 3 map veto system, where you get into a lobby and everyone kind of goes no on this one for this game. And then it kind of boils down into the one that you want. But we can go over that specifics. I think the 2 big things here, obviously, is loot boxes and perks. And the what we know about loot boxes so far is that it's going to be freely provided by completing the challenges. So right now you get experience for the challenges. You get some coins for the challenges. I don't know if it's going to be completely replaced with loot boxes. Maybe they will. Maybe there'll be coins in the loot boxes. But I wonder if they got over that lottery sort of issue that they had with China, essentially, where you have to disclose, and Blizzard was very like, nah, we're not going to totally disclose. And that was one of the sore points. But now they're back on talking terms with China. They have OWCS region out of there. They're going to they introduced the game back into that region. So we'll probably see a bump in numbers just because there's a new market, or a market that's back playing. But again, loot boxes are back.
But bro, come on. Like you think China is going to be an influx of players when NetEase just dropped one of the biggest games in China? Come on, man. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I do. And that game is not without its flaws. And like, to that point, Blizzard does not move quickly. So this is stuff that's been cooking up for at least 6 months. And like, it sucks that it takes that long. And it sucks that they can't like just kind of push a little bit faster, further. Like it took them till now to actually do this. But the first best time the Planet Tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. I'm not saying I will say that those games can go toe for toe. They are 2 different things. They are meant for different places and people and ways of playing. They're both really good games, but they both have different vibes. And if you like one and not the other, that's okay. And if you like the other and not the one, that's also okay. Play the thing you want to play, but don't hate on the other aspect of it. And don't hate on people asking for their game to get better, right? Like we could sit here and like drag Marvel Rivals as like, oh, this support meta is bullshit, even though it's low played, but like it's everywhere and nobody's happy with it, which is essentially GOATs was. We can drag them for their rank, but it's a new game, so they're figuring out the distribution. But you still have 80% of people who played ranked in bronze, which is a very heavy-handed distribution. So like, yes, Marvel is also learning it's new, but it's not without its flaws. They're both good games, and the internet's gonna fucking hate me for saying that.
Yeah, 100%. Quick thought though. Like, I think the only way Blizzard actually beats Marvel Rivals is their Chinese overlord of Tencent like takes the actual Overwatch my god engine and then just gives it to NetEase. But NetEase also has to pay something to Tencent. So Tencent's going to get paid like, 3 different ways, 8 different times.
They're going to double dip,
like, yeah, but just like give it, they gotta, I think that's the way that they're gonna beat it is to literally just go like, your game sucks the way that it is. Use our engine, the game will be so much better. And then like, honestly, like it probably would be like a god tier game.
It probably would be
together.
I mean, that's the thing. Like I kind of cringe at like these games are in competition, but only because of they're probably the dominant arena shooters. How many arena shooters have come over the last decade? Paladins essentially, and have see a buy already. They like these games have stood up and fallen down already in this genre. Marvel Rivals has stood up and is standing strong, but they're so drastically different, even in scope of how you play. And like I'm with you too. Like Ark talking about it like a couple weeks ago. I feel like Marvel Rivals is the more casual friendly. It's more about that like fun time with your boys to sell skins, and then they do have high ranked players playing high ranked games, but I don't think that's most of that game. I do not like, so like I do feel like Overwatch and Marvel Rivals are 2 different games. They can be 2 different games, and we can appreciate them separately and let them do their own things as they continue.
That's nice. That's nice.
All right.
That's nice.
That's
now
nice.
if you just like go move your face like off camera, you take a hit. You take a hit of that copium, right, and then you come on back. You like.
I don't need to move off camera to take that copium. I got the whole jug right here.
Thanks for coming back to the ground, my friend. So like, no, like I mean, I don't think that you're 100% wrong. With like they can both occupy like the same place, but like, I think that like it's harder when like the player base in general, like and I don't want to say it like this, right? But I think like I think there's going to be like a good amount of people who play Marvel Rivals instead of Overwatch. How do I put it? Like kind of like with how popular like Fortnite is, right? It doesn't mean it's like the best battle royale. Right. But it could just be like in the beginning and stuff like that. And I don't know I don't know what the numbers are now for like battle royales, because like that's not my bag. But that like level of popularity. Right. And the meta that is, gaming right now today, right? Which is like Marvel Rivals, right? Like, a lot of this is like all the kids that are playing at school, like what are their friends playing, right? Like how many of those kids that are going to be like, yo, Overwatch just dropped a patch, guys. Shut the fuck up. I'm just trying to talk about this Overwatch patch, bro. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, we put out that one clip on TikTok that was basically saying Marvel Rivals is a good game, but it's chaotic. And like, you just get like randos coming in. It's like, don't talk about my game like that. Like, so there's always going to be that hurt feeling sort of aspect of it, regardless of the game, Overwatch, Marvel Rivals, League of Legends, etc. But I do want to kind of counterpoint to that. The announcement this past week, we saw numbers spike, and it could be people checking out competition. It could be the hype and buzz around the announcement for the announcement. But I think it's more indicative of the overall state of video games and video gamers right now. It's the battle pass chasers. It's the people who just play a game for 2-3 weeks and then move on to the next hype game the next 2-3 weeks. Right now, if we take a look at Twitch, Overwatch is sitting about 9,000 viewers, at least through my portal here. Marvel Rivals has 67. It is a much drastic and different. Overwatch, just one streamer on Tuesday, Frogger, had 120,000 viewers, I believe. And then you culminate that with 20K, 40K from all the different streamers that were there and all the international stuff, like that number for Overwatch, maybe I'm misreading it. Maybe Overwatch category specifically was 120,000, but like, that's what I also mean. This is 10 p.m., 11 p.m. on a Monday night. And like, as far as the viewers are going, yeah, they're sitting in Valorant is comparative to Marvel Rivals. League of Legends has 55. Apex Legends has 30 just for context. And then Street Fighter 6 is sitting at 11. Overwatch currently has 9K. Fortnite sitting at 60.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, like,
comments are out of pocket, bro. Like some of these Steam reviews are crazy as hell. This person's first sentence was it's a thumbs down. This has contributed to my raging racism and enforced in my mind on why I hate blah 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 blah. What the fuck, dude? Like, why is that not even taken down?
That was definitely a point when they were at a huge low point, and that was like a famous moment where they were getting review bombed, and like,
this person has 520 hours
on Steam too. Yeah,
he's probably still playing the game, dude.
It's a good chance it's a good chance he got those hours after he made that comment, because for a while all those numbers were up until Christmas time, roughly. Of course, coincidentally, right around when Marvel Rivals came out, but like, people played the game. People liked the game. Marvel Rivals gave them another option, and it's a new kid on the block, so everyone was checking it out. But that's what I'm saying. There's a space. Gamers are going to generally chase the battle pass, the new thing, as Marvel Rivals gets old hat, as more hiccups and frustrations and friction happen. Will player sentiment shift a little bit? Will the shit talkers just leave, or maybe they'll just keep shit talking from afar, like we saw in the comment? That's where my perspective generally would come from on this one.
I mean, yeah, if you don't like the game, like I probably wouldn't have any place, like, don't interact with any of the content on YouTube or anything like that, and you'll never see it again. It'll be great. just don't interact and don't search for it, and like you'll be fine. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Yu-Gi-Oh. Guess what? Yeah, I don't get any Yu-Gi-Oh content. Isn't that great? How dare
you? You need to know everything about everything. You're not a Yu-Gi-Oh fan. You still need to know how Yu-Gi-Oh plays and be upset that they made a decision. Come on, Nick. That's not how the internet works. Where's your opinion at? My
opinion is always on the people trying to take money out my pockets.
Yeah.
That's 100%.
I understand the irony of us having a podcast and me asking you, where's your opinion? Like, that's the whole, anyway. Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, I wasn't even going into that, but yeah, I got honest opinions that are probably stupid. That's fine. I say it all the time.
All right. So let's move into some more honest opinions that are probably stupid by going over what these updates actually are and mean for the game. Tomorrow, Season 15 is launching, and right out the gate, we're getting perks. Perks are gained through a match by doing damage or healing. Each hero has 4 perks to choose from, 2 sets of 2. 2 minor perks, 2 major perks. They can pick one from each as they level up, do more damage, etc. If you swap characters, you lose all your perks. So that it means that at face value, this system dissuades counter swapping, which people have also said is a problem in Overwatch. A huge problem with why they... Yeah, Counterwatch. Who would have thought, right? Next with this is that the third round, everybody gets all their perks. So the final round of the match, everybody gets that perk. So if you start off as Lucio, but you were Moira before, what are you doing, bro? First and foremost, playing Moira. But then second, you just get all the perks in that third final round aspect for it. So you just get to go in and change the comp. Generally speaking, that sounds pretty good because it promotes counter strategy over counter swapping. I heard Yeatle call it that, and I like that so much better. Counter strategy over counter swapping. Nick, just after that initial, before we get our hands on it tomorrow and talk more about it, obviously, it's a simple method. It's not as complex as your wrinkled brains are used to with the MOBAs of Deadlock and League of Legends, of course. But I like the Heroes of the Storm aspect, the simplified version, the knobs they can turn, the counter picking or counter strategy you can do. If you're Orisa and getting beat up, you can put down your shield now. Instead of just having instead of using the javelin, you get a shield. So you could be more debunker defensive. Is that a good thing? Maybe, maybe not. But you're getting choices of how you're playing the game. How is your honest opinion coming into this and looking at it from that maybe cynical sort of point of view, or not so cynical? Where are you at with this?
I think, dude, you can have hope, right? But like, this wasn't even up on PTR, right? Like, this just came out of nowhere. PTR. This came out of nowhere, and like every single company has Q. You all have QA fucking rock stars, and everybody like does everything. Like, that's my cynical.
Before you kind of continue, before you kind of continue though with that specific, is that we did see this a little bit with what was it, that game mode a couple months ago, the Junkenstein's laboratory, where you got to pick different talents and build up through the match, and then. We haven't even talked about Stadium, a new game mode that's coming out in like 2 seasons, but it's more of that MOBA deadlock aspect, and it's kind of that Junkenstein's. So I think we've seen visions of this, bits and pieces, and they've done refinement and playtesting without they've done it discreetly. So like, to your point there, it hasn't been fully playtested by the community, the PTR in the background, but I do think we have covertly done that. And that was a video we actually made where like this was genius because they're secretly testing the future with this.
I mean, yeah, we did like go into that and everything, but like, I don't know. It's Blizzard. Like, one, it's like Blizzard, right? So like, no doubt that the changes will be like fun for people who like the game. But are you telling me that there's like better developers on Overwatch than there are in the tenure of like not League of Legends, WoW?
Well, I'm not necessarily
like in general. Yeah. No, I mean like WoW's always made like they have trouble with like 2 fucking end talent points, bro. Like you got 2 specs and you got to pick between 2 of them, and like we got trouble. We got 3 specs. We got real trouble. It's like, so like you have 2 choices in Overwatch. I'm hopeful for you, just like in Marvel Rivals, where I said like I hope I'm wrong, right? And I ended up being wrong. I hope I'm wrong here. I hope it's super fun, and they're both balanced choices. But I'll tell you right now, most likely on DPS characters and even probably your tank characters, there will be no choice. There will be a singular pick. You will get flamed if you pick otherwise. And on the healers, that's where you guys will have choice. I think healers will probably be where you actually have impactful choice. And everywhere else is going to be, if you didn't pick it, we're going to it's going to be, my mother just baked me cookies. All in the chat all day. My mother baked me cookies. That's all. Like, I just went to the store. Like, that's all the chat's going to read because of that filter.
Yeah, I get, that, supports are generally just going to have perks that are going to make them DPS as a meme, essentially. But I think one of the things to note here is like, it's not a zero-sum game. We can have an update that has more net positives than net negatives. Sorry, more positives than negatives, so that we are net positive ultimately. And yes, it's hard to make a perfect game to a point. And I love this quote from you, Nick. Players innovate in unintended ways. There's always going to be that fashion, and that's what you want in a game because that sparks the chaotic joy too. But I agree. There's going to be things that are going to be like the no-brainer choice. There's going to be things that are going to be the surprise choice. And then there's going to be things that the developers are going to have more levers to pull and make choices and things happen too. So like, I do feel like this is going to be a net positive for the game. And at the very least, it's a major shakeup for this year, and they scrap it and do something different next year. Worst case scenario, right?
I like the biggest fears that I would have as like if I was an Overwatch player would be like the annoyances of the deployable comps right now becoming just goddamn punishing after an update. Oh, look at this. My turrets now deal slow. That's right. My turrets now can slow everybody after they deal damage to them, and they do AoE as well with my other talent. So guess what? Everybody's getting AoE slowed in this little corridor. Stuff like, and so there you go.
Right. There's going to be things that are definitely to be more red flaggy, and like, truth be told, Symmetra already does slow, right? So it's not even like before the perks.
That's right. That's
so
why I
far,
brought up Tour.
So far, all the perks have been announced. Essentially, what's going to go to the patch tomorrow. And speaking of Torb's perks, let me see if I can find a quick list. I don't think I have any sort of visual aspect, but I have an idea for a comp that I want you and me to run coming up, and I'm going to call this the the Rhine repair comp. Okay, so it's going to be Reinhardt, Sombra, Torbjorn, Juno, Baptiste. Reinhardt, doesn't matter what we pick. He's our big bad monster, Mr. President. Okay. Second, Sombra. Sombra has a perk where you can right click your teammate to heal them 100 HP over like 2 or 3 seconds now. You can now basically, instead of hacking the enemy, you can now hack your teammate instead, use the cooldown, and now she does not a team heal, but like a heal for 100 over time, right? Torb, first and foremost, his perks is like you put the turret can now be placed on walls, or you can level up.
Take that shit out and just make that standard. For like literally in my head, I know it wasn't true, but in my head, I just went like, why isn't that normal?
No, and that's been a player request forever. Like, make Torb run up walls and have the turret stick to walls. But they did the Torb turret thing in that Junkenstein laboratory as a perk then, as a whatever enhancement then.
On walls?
And it sticks to walls, yeah.
Bro, he should be able to call his turrets and they should be able to move and walk on those little itty bitty legs.
We'll see how that goes in season 16, though. So that's the one thing I have to know. No slowing for Torb there. I think his get armor now reloads or what's it called? It levels up the turret up to stage 3 turret. You remember OG turret form that you had to level up? Well, you get a little stronger turret. But the reason I'd say pick Torb here is because he has a perk where you can hammer your teammates with armor and it restores armor, right? Then you've got Juno.
Does it give armor? Does it give armor to people who didn't have armor?
No, it just, as of right now, I believe it heals armor. I'm trying to find the specific wording on this. QRST there, Torbjorn. Craftsman Forge Hammer can restore armor health. It doesn't give armor, but it restores armor health. So that's why Ryan becomes Mr. President, because of all that armor. That could probably even work with a diva with all that armor, but yeah. Interesting perk, a little bit of fun, different aspect. Kind of support that Ryan here. Then you have Juno Bap as like that classic brawl, speed around, and like lamp stuff. And they've got some fun things too, but man, I think we got to play that comp. Ryan Sombra Torb, Juno Bap, Ryan repair comp, or Mr. President Ryan comp.
Hold on a second now.
I'm going to take a look at the Reinhardt perks right now, because I can't remember if it was in the stadium game mode or if it is here where you can hold your barrier and charge at the same time. That was something they had in the Junkenstein's laboratory. I think it's something they definitely had in stadium. I don't believe they have it for, I don't believe they have it here for perks currently. So that would be pretty interesting if you just, Ryan held up his shield and you just charge and everybody like speed boosted behind you. Nick, what you looking at? What are you feeling? Are you considering this comp being the best comp ever?
No, like there's like thoughts in my head, man, where like basically like there's characters that would be like my first red flags of like things that like I would like look for, like Roadhog, May would be another big one. Like, I don't know, like Roadhog's big perks are take a breather, rapidly increasing Roadhog. That's cracked as hell. He gets a 30% movement speed increase. Take a breather also heals nearby allies for 50% of its healing. That's crazy as hell. No cooldown increase.
So I was going to say really quickly, the speed boost might be really interesting, but
there's healer... You just get these then, right? Like on the 3, like, because you pick one or the other, and then you get to pick another one, right?
So yes, there's a minor and a major. The left side is the minor. You pick one of those, and then the major, you pick one of those. They have done the the fart. They call it the fart hog, where you take a breather and then gas heals around you. At a point in an experimental patch, I believe, it didn't work out so great. It didn't really. So that one might be the weaker one, but it might also be kind of good. That's what it's interesting because it changes strategy of play. Perhaps you take the speed or you take the healing, and maybe it's just that hog player is going to flank all the time, so they're going to just go speed all of the time.
Scrap hook and invigorate is crazy as hell. It is crazy as hell. I'll tell you that right now. That's crazy. Like, just looking at it, like he's gonna literally run around the map. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and for anybody who's listening and not just watching the show, scrap hook, chain hook hits reload 2 ammo, which fixes that that moment that everybody's gone through when they've played Roadhog, where you throw the chain hook, you land it, but then you're out of ammo, so you reload instead of hitting the person. This kind of prevents that. I do have a little bit of faith because I like how they're taking a chance on this, and I do like the ideas of what they're anchoring on. And it's not going to be a batting 1,000 situation. There absolutely needs to be more iterations and ideas that come out of this. But I really, really enjoy this this moment, this idea. This is part of why I was so excited, because I think they're doing a pretty good job. This is a pretty decent idea, and it is taking the game in a different direction and a more in-depth direction. Nick, are you reading this?
No.
So can I swap back?
I'm not reading your screen. I'm reading my own screen, dude. Like Moira's contamination ability, that's cracked. That's an auto pick. If you pick the other one, you're probably bad. Like, there's a situation where
true.
There's a situation. I was literally just about to say there's situations in the where you won't need to worry about that. But again, contamination, that's a busted ability. 25% and reduced healing is pretty
real quick. Yeah. The two choices are Bionic Orb's first 50 healing is instant on each ally encounter. So the first time it heals you, it does a burst of 50 healing, and then it does the heal over time. Second, contamination. The other option is enemies being damaged by the damage orb receive 25% healing reduction. So that's something they also kind of tried. I don't think it was at 25%. I think it was a lot more, but it kind of gives a more the healing one gives a buff to her to I guess, what is it? Yeah. Rush comp, bulk comps, group comps healing. Throwing the orb kind of then is more of a saving thing rather than just trying to damage them. But then the damage orb one creates more pressure when you're trying to dive somebody. But
clip it. I said it earlier, bro. The healers are the only ones that are going to matter. Everybody else is going to be on cookie cutter. I literally clip it. Is over. Is done for. Let's see what Doomfist does. Power Matrix, Power Block absorbs projectiles for the first second.
Let's remember that. Just
Simon Powers Rocket Punch. That one's pretty crazy. It's easily
let's remember,
that one.
Nick. Let's remember that when when we you were talking about Torb and get rid of that character, and then literally the next week he's getting banned left and right because he's a must pick against Hazard.
Again, I just don't it could just be one of those situations where there's not enough games to get out of this silly meta phase where people think that it's legitimately good, and it's just because people aren't playing enough. I don't know. It feels very Smash-esque to me, where people are just oh my god, Star Fox is so great, and it's nah, Star Fox is shit.
But Star Fox has stayed at the top. Star Fox has definitely stayed at that top meta with that shine dashing, etc. It was that Yoshi that came in, that Pikachu. But yeah, let's take a look at Doomfist here, man. We can go over all these other ones. I just don't want to take up too much time with the specifics here.
I'm just looking at it. That one was interesting.
Yeah, I feel like they've done a pretty decent job with all this stuff. There's going to be more that come, but this is a huge change, a huge step that's very not Blizzard-esque, and I applaud him for that. I'm for it, And yes, I do default more to this game. I like this game, so I have a personal bias with this, but I do feel like this is something that will intrigue players like you who are less involved in playing Overwatch per se.
I'm intrigued on being right.
Drop everything else. I just need to be right, bro.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Pretty much is what it is, but I'm just reading some of these, and I'm only doing tanks. I was doing tanks and DPS, and it does not seem It doesn't seem like I'd be really split on which ones I'd want to grab on a lot of these characters in general, but like except for like healers and like tanks, I do no. Like Reinhardt's got an easy choice on his majors too. Like you're choosing the one with charge, yeah, the thing you're not even supposed to like touch, like the least used move in this game, the least used move in this game.
It should be.
That should be a cool stat. What abilities use the most? And what's used the least? And if it's not Reinhardt's charge, all DPS players get to flame every tank. And healers too.
I'm sure DPS players are just going to want it to be Reinhardt's shield barrier, just holding up right click for like be rectangle man for 90 minutes every day.
Yeah.
Dude, so anyway. I'm excited about all this, and I will love to see the meta develop in which picks go first, or if it changes, or it's surprise picks, etc. That's going to be really fun. Hopefully it is much longer than a 2-week thing. I think we can get at least a season out of this stuff, if not more, because next season we're expecting a new game mode called Stadium. And Nick, I'm going to bring us over into the screen share and show it a little bit in the background and kind of talk through it. This is the spotlight from the actual announcement. I can bring us over to Yeedle or somebody who played it on the stream, but Aaron Keller here is just going to talk about what Stadium is. So I'm going to turn up the volume here.
In addition to a new hero, theme, and some fun events, we have something extra special that has been in the works for a long time. Welcome to Stadium, the ultimate battleground for strategy, teamwork, and hero evolution. Stadium is the biggest game mode we've made since Overwatch 1 was first released in 2016. TLDR, this mode is awesome. It's Overwatch gameplay like you've never seen before. Fast-paced rounds, nail-biting 5v5 matches, and a best-of-7 system designed to push every player's limits. This is the arena where you don't just outplay the enemy, you outthink and outbuild them too. Here's the twist. Mods. Each round, you'll earn coins based on how you and your team perform. Use these to unlock and customize abilities for your hero. Choose from mods that boost survivability, like extra armor, amplify attacks with shorter cooldowns, or even add game-changing abilities. Stadium is packed with transformative powers and strategic encounters that enhance the hero fantasy well beyond anything we've released. This also includes the option to choose how you play in either a first-person or an entirely new third-person perspective from which to see more of the battlefield and your modifications in action. To go into detail and really showcase what Stadium is all about, I'm thrilled to introduce Dylan Snyder and, of course, the one and only Dion Rogers.
What's up, Aaron?
Thank you so much, Aaron. Dylan. Wow, this is crazy.
Can you believe we're in Watch Point Gibraltar?
Yes, let's talk strategy. Picture this, Reaper flying, like literally flying, I'm serious, through the air to take down a pesky diva, or Mercy enchanting a teammate to auto-res on death. The choice is totally yours, so build wisely. What works as an edge in one round might be the difference maker in the next. You'll be upgrading your hero until they're so powerful that Aaron has no choice but to make you the game director. You become a walking fortress by going all in on armor, or roast your enemy shields faster and more mercilessly than Dion roasts me every day for not knowing anything about obscure 1970s jazz. Because why not?
And visually, we've revamped everything from the ground up, creating a new user experience layout to make navigating your mods simple and fun. The fresh layout and intuitive icons transform strategy into art, giving you the arsenal to power up your hero as you progress through intense matches. Incorporating an intricate mod system, each choice you make is a step towards strategic dominance. Early in the game, you'll invest in affordable mods that lay a solid foundation for your team, giving you an immediate but modest boost. As the match heats up, you'll unlock access to more expensive and oh-so-satisfying mods that pack a serious punch, turning the tide in your favor. Each power-up is complemented by incredible visual effects, dynamically interacting with your actions to maximize the awesome feel of impact and intensity. You'll have complete control of your currency, so how and when you spend could be the key to victory. It's all about crafting the best version of your hero at the right moment.
In addition to mods you can buy, you'll also unlock even more powerful traits that won't cost you anything. Traits are meant to be defining aspects of your play expression, so we're making sure that they feel appropriately transformative. You may remember us teasing some of these in events like Trials of Sanctuary or Junkenstein's Laboratory. As Reinhardt, you can focus on improving your barrier, taking away the movement penalty while it's raised, and allowing him to activate it while charging. As Soldier 76, become a utility healer for your team while improving your biotic field by increasing its range, attaching it to yourself, and buffing the attack speed of allies that stand in its radius. Or as Kiriko, embrace your true nature as a dive DPS by improving your health and damage resistance while gaining the ability to teleport to allies and enemies.
With 7 rounds, Stadium features a variety of maps and game modes. There will be a mix of modified versions of existing maps, such as a quicker Hanaoka Clash round, as well as new push maps with final artwork to be unveiled in the coming months.
Stadium launches in Season 16, and we see it as more than just a new mode. It's a long-term evolution. Each season will bring updates, new heroes, and possibly even alternate modes, like Payload Race or Paintball. And hey, while this mode is already big, it's just the beginning of empowering you to build the best hero you can.
We'll be
Okay, so I want to pause it there, but that's a lot to sort of digest. And like the reductive sort of aspect of this, it seems like it's a response to like a deadlock. And it's like, I don't want to say a simplified version of deadlock, but it definitely has that PvE build sense and variety so far of what I saw a lot of the streamers playing and doing this past week. They got to play it. They had some work in progress maps and stuff. But yeah, man, what are your thoughts seeing this for the first time? How did you, sort of intake it? I saw you giggling a little bit. I saw you serious a little bit.
Did you eat the peanut butter?
Yes.
What's up?
What about the peanut butter?
What do you mean?
What peanut butter?
It's literally there. Go back in the video. Like there's just a jar of peanut butter sitting there on the desk.
I know, I'm joking.
What's up with this?
It's a prop for in-game lore. Winston, they're at Watch Point Gibraltar map. Winston is the monkey tank. He's a Watch Point Gibraltar. He has a jar of peanut butter on the map, and he loves peanut butter. He's got blah blah blah. So like that little RP lore, they have it here as a prop. Yeah. Here's
I thought you guys didn't like MOBAs. That's why you guys play shooters. But anyway, big points right here. Big points for Blizzard. They're finally, removing the stupidest thing that they have, which is first person view. And it's the stupidest thing because you don't get to see your skin. And so like they're going for the gooners. They're going for all of the people from Marvel Rivals who are just gooning. Like they're just
but that's
come on
where
back. Look,
they've been developing
skins
this
like you've never seen them before. Like
I wonder how long they've been, because they've been definitely developing Stadium for like 6 months. And what a lot of the streamers also said, it's like, yeah, the timing, because Marvel Rivals has third person and they launched in December, but yeah, beta test was back in July, etc. But a lot of streamers said like you need the third person because the visual clutter with all the extra abilities and stuff going on. If you're in first person, it's already pretty dense. Having the third person makes it a lot better, but still kind of dense. So I wonder how long they've been doing third person.
I mean, yeah, like it's an interesting thought. I mean, I think I said that like months ago when we were talking about like Marvel Rivals, right? Like I was like the third person view with the amount of like information that's on the screen, because Blizzard likes to take up all of your screen when you're playing their games. Like no matter what, they like literally they're like, oh, we got 100% of your screen. We're going to use 100% of your screen. And it happens in WoW. It happened in Overwatch. And that's one of my bigger complaints about Overwatch was that like you're so like focused in because of like where you are. And I think like it created a bad player habits of like, worse players don't look up, literally playing with people who are like, there's a flare in the sky. Ignore her. Just keep running. Like those are real people. Those are legitimately real individuals And I think that like, it'll change some certain mindsets. But again, you have a skin game where you can't see the skin that you're playing as, like, unless you do like emotes or you die, is like, again, smart move right there. As I said before,
I do like how it's optional too. So you can go first person or third person, and they're talking about putting that into the regular comp version. Because to be honest, third person's kind of wacky. Even in Marvels, you have to aim off center, and it sometimes doesn't feel natural. And sometimes I like question. I throw a thing or whatever, and it doesn't hit. What's that?
No, Marvel. You said Marvel Rivals. I thought you were talking about the Overwatch thing.
Sorry, yeah. Even like seeing the Overwatch streamers play the third person view, it's off center, and like it's still like a beta work in progress aspect, not expected to launch for another like 6 weeks, 8 weeks. But with that, it still feels a little bit wonky having off center, etc. So I can see why the decision to go first person view initially, and then I can see why if it is true where it is about screen clutter, it's a little bit wonky, but like the third person makes sense. And same with Marvels, like there's that little bit of an aspect where you're playing Magic, you need to aim far one side to make sure you scoop them. Otherwise, you're just going to whiff it because it just feels weird.
We did it last week with World of Warcraft and add-ons, right? We talked about World of Warcraft and the add-ons and how much like what you can do with the current HUD in order to reduce the amount of clutter that's on your screen already. Overwatch has none of those quality of life features. No real adjusting of anything that's like on the screen, the placement or anything like that. Like, and when you go to like third person view, you're able to reduce the amount of like the HUD, the health bar that was on the screen before. It can be a little bit different.
Because the field of view is bigger. Yeah,
exactly. So like you get to have, and it doesn't make you feel claustrophobic as a player, which has always been like one of the worst parts of like Overwatch for me personally. I hate first person, but anyway.
No, and I just real quickly too, I do feel like you can change the FOV for Overwatch currently with first person view. It's not the same as third person where you don't get as much scope, but you do have that. But then, yeah, like Overwatch's intensity was something that drew people in, but it's also something that like people start tunnel vision, especially low players. They just W key straight forward because all they're doing is looking center. They don't see everything happening all around them. So it makes sense. Absolutely. And truth be told, they've not added team health bars because they didn't want to add more clutter to that UI experience as well. Wanted to jump in on that and add those little aspects too, because I think it is a conscious part of all of it too. But I'm looking forward to the stadium as well. And it seems like a good mindset direction for things, and I think Perks is like the first step to that. And maybe Stadium becomes a sandlot. It becomes a sandbox for them to develop cool new things where players are picking this over that, and they can just bring it over to Perks in a reasonable fashion, perhaps.
My thoughts are that like just looking at it would be that this is the cash cow. Like this is where to like you thought your game was a PvE game at first, and it was just a PvP game. And it became Overwatch. Cool. Like you think it's Overwatch now? No, it's Stadium. Like is probably like because again, seeing your third party character, looking at Anna do her like ultimate. I noticed that she did it to every single one of her teammates.
That was a perk, or not a perk. Sorry, that was a enhancement, a mod. Yeah,
sure, a talent enhancement. Yeah. That's dumb as hell. Fucking dumb.
Remember the word,
my genetic modifications.
You've fallen into my trap card.
No, it's just real weird. Just call them talents. It's way easier.
Yeah, they're talents.
Just call them talents. But it was visually pleasing on the screen watching that fight overall. You can see what she was doing just in general, what Anna was doing on the screen. And that was great. You can even see some of what other people were doing, and you're able to actually process the information. It's just not a splat on your like sometimes it does feel like Overwatch ends up being like one of those arcade shooting games where you're just on a track.
Oh man, those bullet hells.
Where you're just like, oh look, the dinosaur just spit at you again and you didn't block it. Like what? How the fuck was I gonna see that? Like,
color vomit and visual graphics and all this noise. Absolutely, dude. And some of the metas specifically will have that happen more than others. But I don't disagree. I think it's a good choice, and I'm excited for it. I hope as a nod player, you could also gravitate to that. But, to each their own, of course. Everyone plays the thing they like to play the game.
I'll play Heroes of
overall.
Overwatch for at least once, man. I will play Heroes of Overwatch.
Of the Overwatch.
I don't know. Like, it's the craziest shit, though. I'll say this right now. The balls on Blizzard to combine 2 dead games. The balls on these guys.
Well, what do you mean? Like, Heroes of Overwatch, of course, but then Overlock.
2 competitive seeds. They killed 2 competitive seeds and then combined the fucking games into 1. There you go. That's exactly what happened.
PvE. This was always the PvE that was expected.
These guys got stones, bro.
No.
They're Steven Seagal level of stones, man. Like, that's crazy. 2 dead games rolled into 1. I love it.
So those are the big things to look forward to, the big talking points. But I do want to go over so I can clip this later for social, share this out, about a couple little specifics, if I may. If you walk with me a little bit. There was some news that happened. Sure, if you need to go to the bathroom, just throw that camera off. I'm gonna see you later. All right, so there was some news from a little bit of interviews that were not announced officially, but were announced officially. It was just more casually discussed through some streamer chats, etc. First and foremost, bans in Overwatch competitive is going to be coming. Work in progress date right now is season 16. So going to the season 15 tomorrow. Next season, season 16 is when we're going to receive bans in the ranked match overall. We have them in OWCS, but they're going to be working differently when they hit the live client, live servers. Gavin Winter was talking to Questron on his stream, just discussing some details. Again, this is work in progress, and so things could change. It's going to be ranked only that you're going to be able to ban heroes. There's going to be 4 bans total, 2 for each team. It's going to be ranked choice voting, meaning you pick your top 3 characters to ban. Everybody else is going to be doing the same. Overall, the sequence of banning is going to be Q is going to pop. You're going to see your teammates, and then you can talk/then pick your top 3. You will not get to see the enemy, so it will be a blind pick in that aspect. So you can't just target ban against somebody currently, and as expected. Each person gets 3 votes, 1, 2, and 3, and they're going to be worth different points, first being worth the most. At that point, the behind the scenes is going to do some math, compile all the points, and then it's going to show the bans. So it's going to just take those ranked choice points, line them up, and 2 for each team is going to hit, and that's going to be the 4 bans for the match. So overall, it seems like a pretty decent system. I understand why they wouldn't want to do target bans on the enemy, but I could also see where that could cause some problems. Nick, just from your experience in esports, pick banning, especially with League of Legends, and that 130 character roster of bans and stuff, what do you think about this potentially being implemented in this live service game?
I think you can pull up a clip of me saying that they need more than 1 ban last EWC. If they wanted to get me to play this game, nice try.
Like, call back, bro. You're just gonna comment on their Instagram. Nice try, bro.
Nice try, loser. No, I mean, picking bans add complexity to the game just in general. And like, I just don't know what to say when this is turning into League of Legends. Like, I just don't know what to say. You got like, it's just real interesting to me. Like, oh, we're gonna have you're gonna level up, right? And instead of doing items, we're just gonna do like talents that you have to purchase through the game. And it's third person. Like, it's you can see your whole character while you play this. Like, nice try, bro. It's a good. Seems fun. Seems good.
We'll see how it plays out a little bit more. We'll see how it plays out when they have more official, not work in progress details, of course. And then I'm sure we'll get more honest opinions and Nick saying, I told you so, when we do. The last thing I want to kind of... You've said that in the past. You haven't said it today yet. I'm waiting for that moment of I told you so, though.
Nah, not today.
All right. The last thing I want to go over was another sort of chat discussion, a streamer chat discussion. It was, again, Gavin Winter talking about how maps are picked. He kind of pulled the curtain back a little bit on how it's picked currently in Overwatch, where basically it compiles all of, let me say this again, the Overwatch map selection system for which map you're going to play currently, you don't have any control over. But what the game does is it looks at all the players it's putting into a match, and then it picks the map and game mode that's been least played amongst all of them. So like you might have just played it, but like 7 other people haven't played it in 10 games. So it's going to pick that one. That was interesting to see how that compiling works in the background. He admitted that there's been a little heavy tuning in one way or the other previously where they've made mistakes and admitted to that. But it seemed like it was just something to kind of shake it up by like picking the least one that was picked previously. Something I didn't know, something I didn't realize that was happening. I don't think a lot of people did, perhaps, but it's going to play a part into how map vetoes are going to work later this year, where you're going to have 2 of those maps occur and then 1 true random map, and then you get to pick which you get to play.
That sounds crazy.
Nick, I did it for the social clip, man. If you have any sort of opinion or want to throw an "I told you so" in there, I'm welcome to it.
No, I know I told you so, but I would like to meet the warrior who got like the short end of that stick, though. Like the person who literally played like the same map all the time. Like it was just so that every other player on his team, like they just haven't played this map in a while, and they just got stuck with it. Like what poor sap had to deal with that stuff, man. There was somebody who did it mathematically. Like that sucks. That really sucks. That's a very weird way to do something, because immediately in my head I'm like that doesn't even sound like they put any safeguards. Somebody got screwed. Like,
and then that doesn't talk about when Clash became a game mode where they more heavily weighted Clash, or like a new map. They've had to learn those lessons in that. But I do remember Emong years and years ago getting like 2 CP, like 4, 5, 10 games in a row. It felt like. Doing Volskaya a ton of times, but yeah, interesting seeing behind the curtain how it kind of works, a little bit more information, if that's truly how it goes, if it's a little bit more complicated than that, but it's always deeper than we necessarily think. Nick, that's kind of all we got. I can talk about the new hero that's going to come out, but I will save it for later when the playtest occurs. We've already talked a whole ton about Overwatch. We talked a lot about multiverses. I wanted to talk about Marvel, maybe not. We've talked a whole lot about that recently. We talked about League of Legends. We talked about Madness.
Marvel Rivals, and this guy like he like screams me down. I'm like, yo, Marvel Rivals is
backhand.
Like, I was wrong though. I was like, it's legit fun. And he's like, Overwatch is the best game.
It's kind of funny in that way because it's a position flip from when beta happened, when I was like, man, we got to try this out. We got to play this. And you're like, no way, no hell, and no chance in hell I'm going to do that. And then back here, it's like the opposite. So,
I didn't spend any money still.
Take some.
Yeah, both games, Overwatch and Marvel Rivals. Like get chuffed, losers. I didn't get none of my pocket money.
No, we were saving up for that $900 skin in League, right?
No, bro. Like this is the problem, right? My thing is Magic the Gathering. Like if I could afford Black Lotuses, I'd have some Black Lotuses. Like,
well, I hear that you don't need to afford it to get them recently. Unfortunately,
yeah, that's not my bag.
Story for another day. Hearts go out to you. You know who you are. I'm so sorry that happened. But I think that kind of wraps us up, Nick.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I think we're done.
I'm feeling pretty good about video games this week. I'm looking forward to this weekend with OWCS because this is all going live. We're going to do it live this weekend, Perks. So pros have not had their hands on it yet. They're going to just get it first tomorrow. They'll see what's going on. Quick meta shift. See how that changes, what pushes, what pulls. And we're going to go from there. I'll be keeping an eye on that one, playing some Pokemon Pocket. Nick, what are you going to be looking forward to? Are you going to be watching the games on League Esports this weekend? Probably.
Yeah, 100%, man. But mostly I'm gonna go full sweat for new Overwatch patch. That's what I'm gonna do.
Welcome aboard, brother. Welcome aboard, brother. No.
no thanks, bro. No thanks. No, I'll play
You're
a little bit. But
like
never legitimately,
loser.
Legitimately, like I'm gonna be one of those people that terrorizes like the actual people who enjoys the game. I'm gonna go straight into ranked. Like, oh, what are we picking talents? This is great, lovely. Like, which one do I pick? And then I'll just pick a random one before it even like starts. I'm gonna be awful, man. I'm gonna be that bad dude. Anyway,
I mean, we used to be in Overwatch 1. We used to be that May DPS duo that just walled off the door.
I still think May needs to be converted to like a tank. She's good. She got a lot of options. I do like Overwatch 1 May. She is very silly. Benny Hill silly.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me today, Nick. Good talking with you. Going to see how this week of video games goes, etc. And if you're watching out there, if you caught us, thanks for watching. We appreciate you being here. Check us out at our handle on social media at the Esports Meta. We're everywhere that you are. Come tell us we're dumb. Say our games are stupid like that other guy.
Ask Billy how he thinks Omnimusha is going to do in China compared to Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, let us know, man. We're at
He's got hot takes. He's got hot takes
Twitch.
on the Chinese population. This guy.
Please don't frame it like that. That sounds really bad. But anyway, for outros, thanks for joining me, Nick. Thanks for watching along. This has been the Esports Meta. I'm Billy Sims. That's Nick Layton. And we'll see you next Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Take care.